Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Earlier today, one of the freaks from my channel, we call ourselves the Freaks, sent me a link to a News Nation video by Ashley Banfield where she's interviewing Steve Gonzalez. All right, so we can listen to that right now and we'll go over what he's saying. Some of the stuff he's saying is really interesting. And what you're looking at the screen right now is a 3D model that I built of the crime scene about a year ago. And I just am putting together a different walkthrough so people can get another understanding of inside the house and how things are laid out. But he addresses things like that in this video where he doesn't want the 1122 King Road address taken down. And I can respect the opinion that people have, but I'm not sure he understands how accurate those Faro scans are that you can do, where it's an absolute replica of what it was like inside the house. Of course, it doesn't allow a jury to walk around and walk through it, and maybe that's something of value. I think it's okay that they take it down, but I can rethink that one. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing to keep it up. It's just this ominous cloud over the community for so long. So this is Ashley Banfield right here, and she's interviewing Steve Gonzalez, and we'll listen to what they're saying. So here's what the scene looks like. They don't show anything extra or special, so they're just talking.
Your reaction to getting this news, was this a surprise, hearing that there's a date scheduled and it is December 28th?
Yeah, I was surprised that we're at a moment in the case that we don't even have a trial date. We've had a trial date for almost the vast majority of once they.
Yeah, so December 28th is when they're going to destroy or demolish the 1122 King Road address, the place where all 4 victims were murdered: Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernagel.
They had a suspect. So we don't have a trial date, but we have a date to have, largely the biggest piece of evidence being destroyed, which just seems backwards.
So I would have expected that something this monumental would have been discussed behind the scenes, that your lawyer, Shannon Gray, would have been in conversations at least to give you guys, enough time to process this. And it sounds like that's not the case. You didn't get much time. Different than the time that we got in terms of this announcement.
No, and I kind of take this as from a perspective of that my opinion's not important. As a parent, that's not it. What is important is the lead investigators at the county, state, and federal level, and it is to my knowledge that they are not in all agreement. And we tried to get them to all come in agreement and address, come out with a formal statement. So if they can't all agree,
yeah, I mean, there's no trial date right now. And I could see how frustrating that would be for Steve. There's no trial date, and then you want to take down the building. You might believe that there's still some evidence inside the home after all this time, but I would think that the crime scene techs poured over that house over and over and over and over again and got all they could, did Faro scans, obviously, inside, preserving what the crime scene looked like, and allows you to go look back over it again. Now, if you demolish it, there isn't any chance of getting any more forensic information from the house, but you would think with the FBI and the state police that there certainly were enough technicians in there and enough time to gather as much information as possible. So let's continue to listen.
I find it very hard for the parents to all agree. We're all trying to get through this the best way we can. I want to be absolutely respectful to every single one of the parents. I understand that this has to go down, and I'm not going to fight it forever. And I want to be careful what I fight, because this is a losing battle. But
well, and it's a long battle as well, as we've come to understand. That brings me to the issue of Mrs. Chapin. Ethan Chapin's mom, Stacy, has given that statement to me saying that You know, we're okay with this at this point. We agree with the university. We think it's in the best interest of the kids who are there, including her 2 kids, and the community as a whole. What are your thoughts about that?
I totally respect it. I get it. I
understand exactly what Steve is feeling and thinking, as well as Mrs. Chapin. I mean, they have students there, and everybody in the community needs to sort of move on from the visual horror scene. You know, nobody's going to move on and forget about Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez. But do you really need to have this ominous cloud over everybody every time you walk by there? And so there's this thing that you have to balance where you're saying, well, we need to keep the house there for possible other evidence. Maybe the jury needs to walk through it, etc. So let me know what you think in the comments section.
leaked footage. I've seen things that they may have not seen. I know for a fact the path that this white Salon, this car took, and people are going to wonder what he was doing when he parks in certain locations for extended amount of time. What was he looking at?
Yeah, so that's interesting that he said that, because that matches what I've been saying, that he parks his car and he's looking in the windows. So if you remember the videos I've been making in that back parking lot next to the house where the Elantra drives around like this, pulls in, and sits and waits for 3 minutes or so and watches. And then I believe this footage here will let us know if that's a reality or not. The camera at 111 King Road. So 111 King Road. A lot of ones in there. That camera that's on this side of the building is filming directly out this direction. I would imagine that on each of the loops, when his vehicle drove around here and then drove by here, there's a time gap when you see the car leaving the area. And then I believe he just kept driving this exact loop around over and over 3 different times. One time's a little bit longer. However, maybe he sat right here for 10 minutes watching and waiting and waiting, and the lights just weren't turning off. And then he drives around again, and then he sees, okay, the lights are off, so he wants to give it a little bit more time, because maybe when he drove in he saw a light on over in Xana's room. That would have been around 3:57, and maybe that's a possibility, but it seems like Steve is aware of that exact same thing.
I want to know what he was looking at. And I don't know how you can see what this man was looking at without the house being there.
And so his statement right there shows that he's talking about what he was looking at inside the house, not in some other location. So I think my theory and what we've been putting together here has a very good chance of being very accurate.
What windows was he peering into? Why did he pick that location to stop at? Why did he keep going back to these certain locations?
Right? You see what I'm saying? So each loop, he kept going back. He's not talking about the other 12 times currently. He's talking about that night. Why did he keep going back? He doesn't word things very artfully, but I think it's obvious what he's talking about, because he's saying, why did he keep going back there? In a moment, he then addresses the other.
And I don't know about the other 12 or 13 times that he was there. I just know of the day that this happened.
See, so now he's saying, he's referring to that day, referring to the multiple times it stopped looking into the house. So if you go back and watch one of my last videos, I think 2 or 3 videos ago, it shows how the vehicle stops, and I theorize that it waits there for 2 or 3 minutes on each loop and then drives away. Now there's one of the loops, there is a 17-minute gap in there, and that might mean that he drove further away, or he sat there and waited for that amount of time, maybe an extra 14 minutes or so. But he sat there and he waited and watched and looked into those back windows. So it seems like Steve here is confirming the theory that I had in those videos.
In the footage that was given to me. So
let me just rewind a little bit.
And I don't know about the other 12 or 13 times that he was there. I just know of the day that this happened in the footage that was given to me. So I'm going to do what's best for my girl I'm going to protect her. I'm going to weigh on the side of what's best for her, and making sure that I'm not going to let something slip through our hands that I could have said something. But I do understand it has to go.
I have this question for you because up until now I hadn't really contemplated this, but do you think it's at all possible that the prosecution is so confident about their case, they're not worried at all about the house standing?
So this is an interesting moment here in this interview. Great question there by Ashley. She theorizes that the prosecution is very confident, and listen to Steve's answer.
I've been told that exact thing. I've been told 100%. The amount of stuff we have, Steve, relax. You know, you're a very aggressive a father. Relax. But it's not in my.
So he's been told that, hey, relax, Steve. We've got a mountain of information. Calm down. We know you're aggressive father and everything like that, but we've got all we need.
My character to just sit back
and
just know that an opportunity isn't being seized upon. And I couldn't live with myself. I couldn't live with myself if later on, something happened and a jury member said, you know what, it really came down to the fact that I couldn't see firsthand. They told us the ideal jury member was someone who had thousands of acres and had no time to watch TV. He was out on the farm. Well, I don't feel like that kind of guy is going to see the footage that I seen and not want to understand what was going on in the house. And a computer program is going to mean nothing to that farmer. Almost zero value in a computer model to a farmer like that.
So what he's saying is some jury members might need to have more of a tangible connection to the case than looking at a Faro scan. But those are incredibly accurate. I don't know if they allow jury members to put on 360-degree goggles and view and look around, because that would really make a huge difference. You almost feel like you're there when you can do that. But yes, it isn't exactly the same. So I get what he's saying.
I want to dovetail off something you just said, and that is that they've told you that, Steve, the amount of stuff we have, relax. Are you referring to like victims advocates or people actually in the know of the case, that they have such a solid case that you should rest easy?
See, I don't know. I think at this point he realizes, again, he may have said too much, and now he doesn't really know quite how to answer this one.
Because I've made myself vocal, people have reached out to me, and some of those people have just said that.
He said because he's made himself vocal, some people have reached out to him, but he's not going to tell us who those people are. But based on what he said just a minute ago, it seems like somebody very close to the investigation.
If what I know is accurate, Steve, there's a massive amount of information. This case will open up other investigators to know that there's a whole nother level of data being collected on people, and some of that will come out in this case.
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody says there's another level of data being collected on other people. That's going to fuel the conspiracy theorists. To me, it seems like he's referring to perhaps some of the victims and data being collected that associates Bryan Kohberger with them. Okay, so that was I think that was a pretty amazing interview there in terms of getting some extra information. I get the portion about the house. It wouldn't bother me either way if they kept the house up or removed it. I can just see why the campus might want to remove it. The owner of the house gave the house to the university, and now the university wants to take the house down because it is just sort of this ominous cloud that hangs over the community, and they probably feel like the students and everybody need to move forward without that hanging over them. Steve was alluding to 3 models and so forth of the house, and they're not really very valuable, but I think they are valuable. I mean, I made this model here, and you might not think it's valuable, but it gives an understanding in the layout. So this right here is Bethany Funk's room. So if you go back outside, this is the outside door to the house. And let me go up into the air here really quick. It's right there. That's where it's starting. So this is the front of the house. And let's look at this really quick. You go in. Right to the right, as you enter, that door that's open on the right, that is the storage room there. And this is the laundry room and bathroom over here. And then this is Bethany Funk's bedroom. She's on the bottom floor. Just above her head there is the living room. And we'll be going up there right now. So if we go up right here, just below here is Bethany Funk's bedroom. Then you turn to the right, and then there's Xana's bedroom right there. And again, that's the living room. And then take a right, and you go down this one step, and then left into Dylan Mortensen's room. And she is right below Madison Mogan's bedroom. Straight ahead right there is the kitchen. But right now we'll be taking a left and going up the stairs here. At the top of the stairs, this is Kaylee Gonzalez's room. Apparently the dog Murphy was in the room there. And then you take a right, and this is Madison Mogan's room, and that's the window that Koberger was watching her through in that parking area out there. And now I have Madison and Kaylee on the bed here, and I think they were both face down, and I think that the knife sheath was on the right side of Madison in the white shirt there, next to the edge of the bed. All right, and then we go back down the stairs, and then take a left, and then go out the sliding glass door. I'll do a more in-depth version of this, but I just wanted to show it to you because it was on the screen there. But very interesting that Steve Gonzalez says that he's been told, don't worry about it, we've got a mountain of evidence here. We understand you are, aggressive because you're a father. And that sounds like something law enforcement would say to him, not some random person out there looking at the case. Okay? So very interesting stuff by News Nation and Ashley Banfield. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.